Hello, and thank you for exploring Lakehead International's videos. My name is Jordan, and I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I'm also the host of the Lakehead International Live series, a fun and informative way for you to connect with current international students, professors, and ask questions about admissions and everything Lakehead. You are about to watch a recording from one of our previous live sessions. If any questions arise throughout the video, please do not hesitate to comment below. If you would like to check out some of our upcoming live sessions, please head over to our website at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another Lakehead International Live. My name is Jordan. I'll be your host today. I'm joined by co-hosts Patrick and Katie. They'll be helping me chat about our hometowns, Thunderbay and Aurelia, Ontario. We're really excited to be here today, of course, to chat about these and help you explore our hometowns where we get to call home to both of our campuses. Again, my name is Jordan. I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I help run our live events, digital experiences, our social media. I do digital marketing as well. So kind of do it all on the digital side of things, but I'll pass it over to Patrick to introduce himself.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Carr. I am one of the many international recruitment officers here at Lakehead University. I normally work with students out of Africa, the Middle East, as well as the Caribbean. However, I'm happy to answer questions for any of my colleagues today, and I am also based here in our Thunderbay campus. So happy to talk about Thunderbay today.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick, for joining us, and I'll pass it over to Katie in our Aurelia campus.
Thanks, Jordan. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Fraser, and I'm the International Engagement Specialist, and I'm based out of our Aurelia campus in Southern Ontario. My role involves everything to do with international student life at the Aurelia campus. So if you are planning to come to Aurelia, you'll be hearing from me throughout your travels and planning your arrival, figuring out your living situation, and throughout your time studying at Lakehead as well. So when you're needing support, finding local work or support getting through your academics successfully, I'm going to be your first point of contact. So I'm looking forward to answering your questions about the Aurelia campus today.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us, Katie. We're really excited to have someone from Thunderbay and Aurelia. I'm also based here in Thunderbay, born and raised. So I'm happy to answer questions from any range, essentially, but I'll probably leave it to Katie for Aurelia, the expert of the hometown. So within the upcoming events, including Academics Explored, this week on Wednesday, March 3rd, we do have a session with Lakehead Georgian. So we're going to dive into our 4 partnership programs. You can learn more about our unique learning opportunities. We do have many of the program coordinators and program chairs joining us for that session. So again, Wednesday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. You can register online at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. And then upcoming in the upcoming weeks, we also have a session with business administration. And so we're going to do an in-depth session with them where it's really a program feature. And then we'll also be doing an in-depth session with engineering, so we dive even deeper. If anyone is able to join us this fall for our sessions with business and engineering, you'll know that we covered the entire faculty. We kept it pretty brief and broad, and on our upcoming events, we're going to be diving into the programs a bit further to help you get a better idea and make an informed decision on Lakehead University. Included in the upcoming events is also our Lakehead Explored series. So that includes today's session, of course, but next week we'll be in residence and dining on Monday, March 8th at 9 a.m. And then upcoming events include applying for your student visa, next steps in the admission process, careers, co-op and employment, getting involved in student life, student supports, as well as meeting your future advisors. So we have plenty to explore, plenty to cover over the coming weeks and months. We're really excited to chat more about that though. What we're going to cover today, we're going to do all about Thunderbay, and we're going to dive into the history a bit. We'll chat about recreation and entertainment in the city and just living in the city in general. And then we'll actually talk about Lakehead Thunderbay, our campus in the city and where its location and why it's such a good location. And then we'll do the exact same thing for Aurelia. So we'll chat all about Aurelia, the history, recreational opportunities, entertainment opportunities, and then of course the campus location and how convenient it is as well. Things to remember throughout today's session. So a bit of our housekeeping notes. If you like what you see, don't worry. We are recording today's session and we'll be sending out the link afterwards. We do send it out on a weekly basis at the end of every week. It's in our invites at the very bottom. It is uploaded to our YouTube channel too. So if you head over to Lakehead University's YouTube channel, you can see the recording a few days after. If you do have any questions for us today, and we hope you sure do, please use the Q&A function to submit your questions. It'll help us keep everything organized, but also make sure that we have it all in one place so we're not looking all over. And last but not least, I want to encourage you to stay connected with us. Follow us on our social media channels. You'll get an insider sneak peek into Lakehead University, but you'll also hear about future opportunities to participate in events like today. And with that being said, I'll begin, and I want to introduce you and give you a bit of background about Lakehead University. So Lakehead University is far from ordinary, and if you've already applied, then you're ready for this adventure. If you're still in that process of deciding whether or not Lakehead is the right choice for you, then we encourage you to ask as many questions as you can so that we can work together to help you in this exciting journey. Take a moment to think about your university years. Do you want them to be typical? Do you want them to be ordinary or just like anyone else? Or do you want them to be extraordinary and exciting and exceptional and unconventional? Imagine, if you will, a university that provides you a transformative education that is far from ordinary, or a place filled with adventure and excitement. A classroom that takes you out into the beautiful surroundings and uses it as a natural laboratory to enhance your studies, or an education that helps you shape you and your future using world-renowned facilities and researchers that will challenge and guide you in whichever area you wish to pursue. A community that also supports you in every kind of team and is proud of students and their accomplishments. At Lakehead, we're really, really proud to be recognized by so many institutions and so many of our partners for the work that we've put forward. And so some of the things that we're recognized and very proud of is the fact that we're actually the #1 Canadian university under 10,000 students in all of the world. And that's a ranking by Times Higher Education. We're also currently the #2 research university in Canada. We were #1 for 5 years in a row, but we're still very proud to be #2 right there at the top for the primarily undergraduate field. And then with that being said, we're also recognized as in the top 10 of primarily undergraduate universities in Canada by Mckay's. And Huffington Post has recognized our campus as one of the most beautiful Canadian university campuses. So it really goes to show you just some of the recognitions that I can talk about today and where we stand with regards to rankings and achievements and what we're so proud of. So now we're going to chat and dive into all about Thunderbay, and I'll pass it over to Patrick, who's going to give you a brief overview of the city. We'll chat about population, all that sort of stuff, and then we'll actually dive into the history as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about the city of Thunderbay. The city of Thunderbay, seen here from Lake Superior, is a medium-sized Canadian city. So that means a city of about 110,000 people here in Canada. We are the hub of Northwestern Ontario. So Thunderbay, located 90 minutes by plane from Toronto, is in Northwestern Ontario. It's a big city with a number of the amenities, shopping malls, movie theaters, restaurants, coffee shops, those kinds of things. But it has a very small town feel, very friendly, very welcoming to our new international students.
Awesome. I can add on to that too, Patrick, and then remind our audience that Thunderbay also has over 180 restaurants in the city. We have 7 shopping districts. We do have 4 distinct seasons. Many people have the perception that joining us here in Canada, they might be in a forever winter, and that's definitely not the case. We're very fortunate to have a truly Canadian experience in both Aurelia and Thunderbay, to have a winter, but then also transition to a beautiful spring, summer, and fall. And those are definitely some of my favorite seasons, although I'd be remiss not to say that winter is definitely an exciting one. We're also very proud in Thunderbay to host over 20 annual festivals each year, actually hosted nearby this photo in our downtown Waterfront district, where students also get to go shopping. And like Patrick said, they can check out many of the restaurants or even the local coffee shops. I'll pass it back to you, Patrick, though.
Yeah,
And
I was just going to say, Thunderbay is just where it's geographically located. It is the biggest city between Winnipeg and Toronto, and it's very close to the geographical center of Canada. So we are in, the middle of Canada. It's a very culturally diverse city with both deeply rooted European and Aboriginal roots.
awesome. So I'll pass it over to you still, and we'll chat about the history of Thunderbay because we definitely have a unique story, and we like to share a bit about that.
Yeah, so Thunderbay is both a very old city and not a very old city at all in some ways. So Thunderbay is actually, the city of Thunderbay is a little bit, I guess, over 50 years old. 50 years this year, I believe, or last year in 2020. Yeah. And prior to that, it was actually two separate cities. So the city of Port Arthur and the city of Fort William. Now, the city of Fort William has actually been or the settlement of Fort William has been around this part of the world since the early 1800s. People coming here in 1803, I believe, to set up for the fur trading trade that happened through much of Canada's early history. And Thunderbay has always maintained some of the identity established then, which is what's called a transshipment point. Basically, goods coming from Western Canada to Thunderbay being reloaded onto larger boats to head to Eastern Canada. Jordan, can I get you to talk about Port Arthur? I just have a
For sure, yeah. So Port Arthur is actually the side of the city technically in which I grew up on. So I might be a bit biased in saying it's my favorite part of the city, but luckily Lakehead University is located nearly in the heart of the city. And that's what we like to talk about, is the fact that in between both of these two city centers is Lakehead University. And so now, since we've been amalgamated for over 50 years as of this year, we are fully spread out. So there's no distinct separation in between the cities necessarily. We do have two distinct downtown cores, which you can see in these photos are definitely old photos of our downtown cores, but since then now they've amalgamated essentially, and now it's spread throughout the entire area. So then I'll pass back to Patrick, if I will, and he'll chat a bit about the downtown waterfront and some of the things that students can do down here.
Yeah, so the city of Thunderbay has a great waterfront area. You can see it here from the aerial view. It's actually relatively recently renovated and continuing to be renovated. In the summertime in this area, you can catch weekly concerts in the park with live music. Both local and national and sometimes even international acts will play the park at Summer in the Parks and some of the other music festivals that take place here. There are a couple great restaurants and a place for kids to cool off in an aquatic splash pad. In the wintertime, that splash pad, Jordan, changes into a great ice skating rink for families to skate. Ice skating, obviously, a great pastime here in Thunderbay and most of Canada for that matter. Also down here at the waterfront, this is if you have an interest in sailing, there's a place where you can learn how to sail or charter a sailboat. There are a couple hotels here with some great restaurants, a couple cafes that have great food. So just a really great place to spend time when you're in the city of Thunderbay.
For sure. And this is technically the old downtown Port Arthur. So this is our downtown, and Lakehead University, although you as an audience might not recognize it, I certainly know Lakehead is actually up here in the top left. I'm sure if you can see my mouse, some of those taller buildings are a part of Lakehead University. And so we're only located less than 4 kilometers from the downtown. So it's a quick walk, it's a quick bike ride, or public transportation is certainly an option in the city of Thunderbay and provided to our students here at Lakehead, either for a small amount built into your tuition or on an additional fee, depending on what level of study you're working towards. So I'll let Patrick maybe chat a bit about downtown PA. I know he prefaced that there's plenty of coffee shops or vendors to visit here, but I'll let him continue.
Yeah, a short walk from our waterfront, actually just over a little bit of a sky bridge. You're right in the heart of downtown Port Arthur, the closer downtown area to our Thunderbay campus. Downtown Port Arthur has a number of really great restaurants with food from around the world. This is an area where you can get some traditional Canadian foods, different pub grub, but also there's a sushi place, there is a Thai place, there's a British pub, there's a shawarma place. Like there's all kinds of different options there. There's also a number of great boutique local restaurants, or sorry, vendors, shops. You can see here a local record store. And opening soon is actually going to be kind of an indoor craft market opening in downtown Port Arthur, where anyone, including our students, are welcome to go check out some of the locally made goods that different people in Thunder Bay are selling. So it's really a vibrant place on any day of the week, but on weekends for sure. There's lots of people out and about shopping, eating, and just enjoying kind of this great walkable area in Thunder Bay.
Certainly. And I mean, I myself, I certainly enjoy stopping by a local coffee shop, maybe in the fall as it starts to get a little more chilly. I'll grab a hot tea and then walk around down there, go to some of the vendors and shop, or even in the summer, stopping at some of the ice cream shops and getting gelato or something along the lines of that. It's just really peaceful down there. There's a lot to do. And like Patrick said, on top of all of that, there's also entertainment purposes. So there's pubs down there, there's live theater performances, there's a casino down there. Whatever is sort of fitting your fancy, you can certainly do it there in downtown. So Boulevard Lake is another landmark here in Thunder Bay. And I'll pass it over to Patrick to chat about Boulevard Lake.
Yeah, for sure. So Boulevard Lake is a recreational area located within the city. Thunder Bay is a really unique place because of our surroundings. We actually have over 100 parks and over 32 kilometers of paved recreation trails within city limits. This is an amazing place if you like to spend time outside, time in nature. And Boulevard Lake is just one of these places. It's a 5-kilometer loop around the lake that has a swimming area at it, as well as a frisbee golf area. It's a great place. You'll see lots of people here biking or walking their dogs or just hanging out in the summertime. There's a tennis court. And across the city, you'll find many dog parks, outdoor events areas, picnic areas, as well as there's biking, skiing, and hiking trails all around the city. So it's a really amazing place for outdoor recreation.
For sure, and even hosted on the lake here, there's a beach for our population, our people that live in Thunder Bay to go swimming here, but they can also go paddleboarding, kayaking, and then in the summer there's also dragon boat racing, and in through the spring and fall as well. So they have it right here on the lake, so it's in a controlled environment. But like Patrick said, having those paved trails and having an area that's dedicated to practice whatever recreation you see fit, it's really a great opportunity. And the sleeping giant is also included in that recreation. Of course, in this photo, you get to see the view from Thunder Bay of what we get to see. So this is called the sleeping giant because it resembles a giant who's sleeping, and it's a natural rock formation here in Thunder Bay in Northwestern Ontario. I'll let Patrick give you a bit of the history about it, and then also he can share more information about what you can do on this provincial park.
Yeah, so Sleeping Giant Provincial Park is one of Canada's actually most famous provincial parks, located here just outside the city of Thunder Bay. The Sleeping Giant gets its name, Nana Bijou, because it looks like a person sleeping in the lake. If you look at the left side of the screen, you can kind of see what would be a head with a person lying down, and then with maybe their arms crossed over their chest and the rest of the body. So it's a large peninsula located here on Lake Superior. The park itself is a massive provincial park, which means it's a wildlife protection area. They have great campground there on Lake Mary Louise, a lake actually on the peninsula itself, with hundreds of kilometers of hiking trails, multiple backcountry camping spots, trails for all different difficulties of hikers, from people who just want a leisurely walk through the great park to some more intensive hikes that involve climbing straight up to the head of the giant. In the wintertime, they actually turn a lot of those hiking trails into cross-country ski trails. I myself was there 2 weekends ago. I did 25 kilometers cross-country skiing around Lake Mary Louise on the Giant. It has beautiful views of both nature, Lake Superior, and you can actually, there's some Thunder Bay lookouts there as well. So it's a really amazing park, so close to the city of Thunder Bay.
Patrick, I would imagine after your cross-country skiing, that was probably pretty exhausting. It sounds like it was a big one, to say the least. But it's one of those things where we absolutely encourage students who may not be familiar with any sort of winter activities whatsoever. We encourage those students most to get out there and try it and see and start to experience all the different sorts of activities that you can do in the winter, so you can find your passion and then decide maybe how you want to spend it. And so we're going to talk about winter activities in just a second here. I'll let Patrick chat about Fort William Gardens and our Thunderwolves hockey team.
For sure. So the Fort William Gardens is home to our Thunderwolves hockey team. The Gardens is an ice hockey arena. It also can be converted to several other purposes. It seats just over 5,000 people. Canadians love hockey. Thunderbay loves hockey, and we really support our local university hockey team. During the hockey season, students can get discounted tickets. There are buses that go from campus to the arena. It's an amazing night. It's an affordable night out. It's lots of fun, and you can see here the stands are often packed with both Lakehead students as well as the Thunderbay community as a whole supporting the hockey team. And here you can see our Lakehead University hockey team. And if I had to guess, that's probably the Waterloo team based on the colors, but it could be someone else. Yeah, ice hockey, very popular here in Thunder Bay.
Fair enough, yeah. And plus with our students that live on residence, I know our residence team often arranges these hockey nights to actually get busing from campus all the way to the arena. And then the whole residence essentially goes, and you have an entire dedicated section. So it becomes quite lively when you and all of your roommates and all of the people that you see on a regular basis get to then go and celebrate and unwind from a week of academics. And enjoy your Friday night cheering on our Thunderwolves. So also in Thunder Bay is a pretty historic mountain called Mount Mckay, and it has some cultural significance to our Indigenous community here at Fort William First Nations. And then in the background, you can also start to see Loch Ski Hill. Of course, this is a summer shot, so you can't make out the snow or the runs necessarily, but we'll chat about Loch Lomond in just a second. So Loch Lomond ski area is just one of two downhill ski or alpine skiing areas in Thunder Bay. The other is Mount Baldy. This is also another area where residents or anyone on our campus is bringing our students on a pretty regular basis to experience different excursions. So whether it be the International Student Services Office, whether it be residents, or whether it be an international student coordinator within your program, we absolutely encourage you to partake in some of the lessons they provide, whether it's beginner skiing or beginner snowboarding. This is one of my favorite sports in the winter. That's why I'm so passionate about it. So I encourage everyone to partake in it. But there's runs for all sorts of difficulties too. So whether you are a beginner, whether you've already potentially maybe done a winter ski trip or a winter snowboarding trip with your family, and you're more intermediate or even interested in the difficult runs, there's plenty of options for you here. So I'll pass it back to Patrick, who's going to chat about Lakehead University and sort of our location.
Yeah, so you can see on this aerial shot of the city, Lakehead University is centrally located. It's in detail, it's hard to make out our campus here, so we've circled it for you. Centrally located. You can see we've also noted kind of, the downtown Port Arthur, which we've talked about. We haven't really talked about the downtown Fort William, which also has many restaurants and shops as well. And coffee shops too, some great places to eat and shop down there. The university itself is in a great spot. We're about 11 minutes from the airport. Our students love this. When you arrive after a long international flight, you've already made a layover in Toronto, you take the hour and 20-minute flight to Thunder Bay. It's 11 minutes from the moment you walk out of the airport to our campus, and you can kind of see a better shot of campus here. Being centrally located like this is great, but our students also, and I think Jordan's mentioned this, gets access to a bus pass, which will take you anywhere in the city. For all undergraduate students, this is included in your tuition, and all students do have access to this. on campus. You can see some shots of our main campus here, how convenient residence is and how walkable it is, and how you can walk over to our great athletic facilities. So on top of some of the community athletic facilities on campus, we have a indoor soccer pitch, indoor track, Olympic swimming pool, and they're expanding right now. Actually, it's under construction to expand and add more gymnasium space and more aerobic and weightlifting spaces in the athletic facilities. So lots to do on campus.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they actually just recently opened it, although, of course, similar to the rest of the world, we are dealing with ramifications of COVID. And so although it's not fully open, and although we haven't had to have a large grand opening celebration for the new facility, I do believe it's being used, or students can access it. And I've heard some rumblings that it's extremely beautiful inside. So I'm excited myself to check it out. Hopefully I get a quicker look than some people, maybe perks of the job, but nonetheless, here's a different view of your campus. So like Patrick was talking about, you have your main campus buildings in the heart of our campus. So that's where all of your academics will happen. Residence sort of surrounds campus, and then you have athletics at the top there, and you actually have your faculty of education at the bottom right here. The white building, though, actually below the words athletics, is the Thunderbay Regional Health Sciences Center. So that is Northwestern Ontario's main trauma center and main emergency room. And so many of our students in some of the health and behavioral sciences programs and some of the science and environmental studies programs will actually do research placements and do practicums here, lab participation at the hospital right here. And so we've developed partnerships with community partners across the Thunderbay and Northwestern Ontario region, but also, of course, in the Simcoe County Aurelia region and broader Ontario and Canada. So there's plenty of opportunities here to also get involved and do experiential learning. So like Patrick was saying, that we're centrally located, conveniently located to the airport, which is a huge plus. We're also conveniently located to several shopping districts. And so Patrick, I'll let you chat about these.
Yeah, so the closest and maybe largest grocery store in Thunder Bay is only 2 kilometers away from the university. Superstore is a chain of Canadian grocery stores, and it actually sells not only groceries, but it also has other household items and clothing and a pharmacy. So it's a great, close, one-stop shop for a lot of the needs of our students. And it has an amazing selection of international foods and ingredients, which I think is really popular with a lot of our students. When you look at the other shopping districts, the number 2 there is kind of a shopping complex with a Staples and a Best Buy, an Indigo, which is a bookstore, as well as a Walmart. So definitely some more niche items available there, but also Walmart carries a lot of the same stuff Superstore has. So another great shopping area. The shopping mall, Intercity Shopping Center, has at least 30 stores located in it. It's a shopping mall, clothing, food court, other kind of boutique stores available to you. And there are buses that go to all 3 of these places directly from campus, including the shopping center, where there is, again, another kind of shopping center with some more household goods, Canadian Tire, Winners, HomeSense, and an Old Navy. So a large shopping center there. And then lastly, you were just off screen, there's a movie theater right in the shopping area as well. So really popular with our students.
Awesome. Thank you so much for covering that, Patrick. And for many of our students, we may have talked about stores or brands that you're not quite familiar with yet, but there's definitely there's a number of international brands that I'm sure many of you would recognize. And also, once you arrive here in Thunder Bay, you'll grow to love some of these other stores and shopping centers, just like we have. And like Patrick mentioned off screen, there's plenty more that we couldn't cover. We wanted to chat about what's close to campus, what are our typical amenities that we're accessing on a regular basis. So a grocery store, a pharmacy, all that sort of stuff is very close to campus, if not on campus itself. So now I'll move into the questions, and we'll answer questions that are specifically for Thunder Bay. If there's any Aurelia questions right now, we'll hold off and we'll wait until we dive into it with Katie. So give me just a second here. Alrighty, so I'm just scrolling through. There's a question about residence options and accommodating for quarantine for international students. So for our students who will be joining us here in Canada and would like to know more about quarantine, I encourage you to head over to our website, lakeheadu.ca/quarantine. And then once you're there, you'll actually be able to learn more about the full process, which is extremely detailed. And we want to make sure you're going to take your time and fully understand it. And then there's also a direct link to submitting that quarantine submission form, which will then have our teams, both in Thunderbay and Aurelia, review that form and work with you if there's any corrections that need to be made for your quarantine itself. Of course, the Canadian government recently introduced some new guidelines and restrictions along international travel and the arrival of travelers. And so it's very important that you give us a decent amount of time, a period which we have typically said 96 hours minimum before submitting that form. But Katie, correct me if we've maybe upped that window since some of the recent new updates with the Government of Canada.
So the quarantine process is kind of two different stages. In stage one, you're submitting your plan, where you want to live, your food arrangements, travel, all that kind of stuff. That's in phase one. And after you submit that, you need to give us at least 72 hours to get back to you. It takes us some time to review, and usually we'll get back to you with various questions. Once you're approved for stage one, then we notify you that you can go forward with pursuing your COVID test in your home country before leaving, as well as booking flights and looking into your government hotel quarantine once you arrive in Canada. And stage two requires you to submit your flight information and attest to you taking the COVID test and acknowledging your responsibilities as part of the government mandated hotel quarantine. So two phases there. That second phase give us 48 hours to get back to you. We know that there are tight timelines from when you need to get your COVID test, when you're checking in with your airline, and when you're arranging your hotel quarantine. So that's a shorter window there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for clarifying. And like I mentioned, if you need more details, the full process is outlined on our website, but also we do have a direct email about quarantine that you can send your messages to, send your inquiries to, and they'll be happy to get back to you. So there's a few more questions. One says, are there any Asian markets in Thunderbay? So there are a number of stores or specialty stores that actually bring in imported food directly from, whether it be maybe a Chinese specialty or some Southeast Asia. There's a huge variety. I know one of the most popular is called Golden Flower. And I know that one of my student workers, she shops there quite regularly, and she's from Vietnam. So she really enjoys sort of getting the taste of home. But like Patrick mentioned, whether you go to Superstore or even Walmart, there are dedicated international aisles. So you'll see brands and spices and all sorts of goods that look exactly and are essentially the same thing as from home. They'll just have English labels, of course. In some cases, though, I know that they truly have the original labels on there, and then they might have a sticker that's been translated into English as a part of the nutrition guidelines within Canada. But there's plenty of options, not just limited to Asian. And plus, on top of that, maybe when you're ready to treat yourself and you don't feel like cooking, but you want the taste of home still, there's a lot of options, like Patrick said, flavors of the world, essentially. And so you get to try a huge amount of restaurants. We actually did an off-campus food tour in Thunderbay with several of our students, where they got to all try new restaurants from cultures that they weren't typically accustomed to. And so it was interesting to see sort of a crossover in how one student might have a pakora that was from India, but then they are from Nigeria. And so the differences in pakoras and whether it's pakoras or referred to as a samosa, it was so interesting to see just how the different cultural takes on these foods.
Yeah,
another question we go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say, to that question, I know there are a number of specialty grocery stores, and I think you touched on this, but it's not just limited to Asian cuisine. I know there are some places that carry Middle Eastern, South Asian, and Indian ingredients. There are a number of small boutique grocery stores all over the city, with a few more popping up every few months, it feels like. So I would advise our students to not really worry too much about that coming to Thunderbay.
Exactly. And another question we got is, can you give me some idea about off-campus residence options? So for those students who are interested in living in Thunder Bay, there's many off-campus housing options. There's some directly across from the university. Unfortunately, Lakehead University does not facilitate any of those off-campus housing arrangements. So as the user, as the renter, essentially, you'll have to arrange the entire agreement. We are more than happy to help you with the process in the sense of maybe giving you advice or giving you some of our tips. However, we can't facilitate that process itself. So there are plenty of options. We won't dive into it today's session, but during our residence and dining session next Monday on March 8th, we'll certainly have a section dedicated to off-campus housing. Another question we got is, which place is downtown Port Arthur? So that's a great question. It's almost a heated argument here in Thunder Bay because technically we still have the two downtowns. We have the original Port Arthur downtown, and we have the original Fort William downtown. When it comes to amenities, entertainment, restaurants, exciting events, all that sort of stuff, I must admit, I think Port Arthur really does win that fight. But that's not to say that our downtown Fort William is not equally or also exciting and have plenty of opportunities for our students. So I'm a bit biased, like I mentioned. I grew up in Port Arthur, and so it's the side of the city I've always loved.
Yeah, and I would say that downtown Port Arthur is just is a touch closer to campus than downtown Fort William, so it's a little bit more accessible for our students, and that's why we highlight it in our presentation.
For sure. So with that being said, I know there's a number of questions in there in the Q&A about applications and admissions, and I'll have Patrick maybe work behind the scenes to answer those. And myself and Katie will dive into all about Aurelia. Although I have to be honest, I can't speak too much about Aurelia. I've visited. Me and Katie got to see each other last year just before we started working remotely, but I will leave it to her, the expert of the city.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Hi, everybody. So I am born and raised in Aurelia. I graduated from the Lakehead Aurelia campus. I was one of the first classes to graduate from there. Very exciting. I've done a lot of volunteering in our community with different agencies. And I also have the opportunity to liaise with lots of different local business owners throughout my personal and my professional life. So with all that in mind, one of the things I like to ensure I do as part of my role, engaging with all of you guys, is to help you feel connected to our broader community. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it today. So the city of Aurelia is located near the Greater Toronto Area, or the GTA, you might have heard it referred to as, and we're in the heart of Ontario's Lake Country. We are definitely surrounded by water here. We have Lake Couchiching and we have Lake Simcoe, amongst many other smaller lakes around here. Our population is just over 30,000 people, about 33,000 right now. And we're located really in close proximity to many other local cities around us that offer lots of different amenities if you're looking for, bigger city life and different activities to do. But Aurelia itself is kind of more of an intimate setting. So students often find themselves very comfortable here. It's easy to navigate and easier to build a sense of community in this location. So over the past 2 years alone, we've had over 30 new businesses opening up in the downtown area specifically. And many of these are actually owned and operated by young entrepreneurs who, like me, are born and raised here. So they're really passionate about staying connected with their community. So a little bit about the history of Aurelia. Our city is definitely rooted in our history of access to water, our arts and culture, as well as our industry of tourism. So we're situated in the Narrows, like I mentioned, between Lake Simcoe and Lake Couchiching. And once upon a time, Aurelia was really a gathering place for many centuries before Europeans came and were using it to bring furs to market. We're also known as a gateway to the Muskoka region. And so This is a very popular place for tourists, particularly during the summer months. We often refer to it as cottage country, and our population really booms in the summer months. Lots of people come here because of that proximity to the water. But we also have a really thriving arts and culture community with lots of different forms of entertainment and different art. And that means a lot of different extracurricular opportunities for you guys when you come here. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of those areas as we go through. All right, so our waterfront, like Thunder Bay, we also have a beautiful waterfront that we hope you really take advantage of. Our waterfront is also home to lots of different events and activities and festivals throughout the year. So some of the more popular ones that you'll hear about when you come here are things like the Canada Day celebrations, the Mariposa Folk Festival, which is absolutely massive. It takes over the city every year, which features outdoor bands. We have different parades that happen, particularly Santa Claus Parade is a favorite of students. We often have a float in it. And last year, we actually hosted the 2020 Ontario Winter Games, which is the province of Ontario's largest multi-sport event. We had over 3,500 amateur athletes here. So the whole community was really involved in hosting that. So this is a beautiful picture of one of the downtown festivals. You can see it's featuring lots of local shops and their products that they feature. So downtown, you will find a whole variety of shopping, whether it's housewares you're looking for, cookware, maybe special gift ideas that are locally and handmade. But personally, my favorite part of downtown is probably all of the delicious food. There are a ton of different options for all different taste buds. And some of the local chefs are just really fantastic. A lot of these places are much smaller and quaint. So you get more interaction with the staff and, might get a little peek at the kitchen and things like that. It's important to know that as a Lakehead student, you should always have your student ID card on you because many of these places will offer special discounts for you. So they might offer, 10 or 15% off, or they might offer certain items on sale to you at a lower cost. So always carry that with you. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
For sure, yeah. And on top of that too, Katie, like you mentioned, I would agree. I think probably one of my favorite parts of downtown was the food experience and the food scene. When I was there visiting last year, we got to try out a number of different restaurants and they were incredible to say the least. And we also did some filming over here. And so we got to go into many of the businesses and get some insider sneak peeks and really interact with some of the vendors, and they're truly friendly. Having that small town and that quaint feel, similar to Thunder Bay, you always get a smile from a stranger. Like you walk past someone on the street, they'll say hello even, they'll smile, they might wave. And it's just a friendly environment, whereas maybe in the fast-paced cities, it feels like you can almost be brushed off sometimes. I think it's quite the opposite here in Aurelia as well as Thunderbay, though. So this is not Aurelia downtown, but I know you recognize this photo, so I'll let you chat about it.
Yeah, sure. So like many Canadian cities around, Aurelia looks a little bit different in every season, very much like Thunder Bay. But often students are most nervous about our Canadian winters that they hear about. But don't let it concern you. There's lots of ways that you can enjoy it and make the most of it and have some unique experiences. So whether that's getting out to enjoy hikes like these girls here, or you're trying skiing or skating, there's lots of different things to do. But the most important thing to remember is dressing most appropriately for our winter. But don't worry about that. We can definitely help you out with those things. We do things like hosting workshops. We put out information going into winter in our newsletters to students to really make sure that you're dressing appropriately, because I can tell you, as someone who has navigated a lot of winters in my life, that is the most important thing you can do. If you don't dress appropriately, you will not enjoy it as much as you possibly could. So I encourage you to embrace it.
For sure. And I always like to mention that when it comes to dressing appropriately, the thing I like most about winter is the fact that you can always dress up, you can always add layers, you can always add accessories, whether it's a scarf, a hat, mitts, and all that. And you can stay at a moderate temperature, whereas sometimes if you're in a city that just simply gets too warm or too hot, there's nothing you can do about it other than maybe have a relaxing day. You don't want to be moving around too much, but we encourage exciting engagement in the winter, like moving around, staying active, all that sort of stuff. It's super important to your mental health and physical well-being. And Aurelia is also a perfect city to do that. I know this photo is from Scout Valley, which is extremely close to campus. And it's similar to almost what we had compared to in Thunderbay at Boulevard Lake, where there's recreational trails and there's dedicated areas where students and of course the general population of Aurelia can go and explore and just kind of reset and not necessarily focus on what might be bringing them down, whether it's academics and they're really stressed about an exam. Taking a 20-minute walk to unwind and reset is really important too.
For sure. Thanks, Jordan. Okay, so this is another picture of our downtown area. And this picture particularly shows a little piece of the Trans-Canada Trail. So the Trans-Canada Trail actually goes from one side of the country to the next. And we have many kilometers worth that go through the city of Aurelia from one end of our city to the other. So as you'll see, they're all paved. So they make a great option if you have or maybe rent a bike from one of the local bike shops, if you're into rollerblading, if you like skateboarding, or just straight up walking or running. Like Jordan said, the best thing you can do to manage your stress as a student is to stay active and stay well and take care of yourself. So getting out to meet friends down at the trail is a great idea and a great way to do that. And it's a great way to see the city too, because you might not have seen these places because of how the trail weaves throughout the scenery throughout Aurelia. You might not see those spaces if you didn't take advantage of the trail. So definitely one place to highlight for you.
And then the next thing we'll chat about is Blue Mountain. So similar to the Thunder Bay area, really also ski areas that are accessible. So Katie, I'll let you chat about the location wise, and then the next scene is the trail map and some sneak peek photos too.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that tourism is definitely one of the important industries in Aurelia. It's one of the 5, particularly for this area. And so within an hour, you can find lots of different tourist attractions and many different ski hills. So there's Blue Mountain Resort is the biggest one, which Jordan will show you a little bit more about in a second here. But there's smaller ones, like there's Horseshoe Valley, Snow Valley, there's Mount St. Louis, which is family run. So these, don't be fooled by calling them ski hills. These places offer lots of different things, from snowshoeing, which is more low impact, cross-country skiing. They have hiking trails, biking trails. They also offer special events too. Snow tubing, which requires no skill. You just sit in a tube and go down the hill. So lots of different things, again, to really just embrace winter and make the most of it.
So like Katie mentioned, I'm showing now the photo or a preview of Blue Mountain's trails. So there's significantly more compared to Loch Lomond. And like Katie mentioned, there's so many amenities in this case. It is a full resort. So you do have the snow tubing park, but also if your interest is to simply come here and relax, maybe have a weekend getaway with your friends, there's a spa here, there's shopping, definitely plenty of restaurants to enjoy. So I encourage our students to explore. I'm sure many students want to come to Canada, and as soon as they get to Canada, they're planning their first trip to maybe a national park or to a big city, or just they want to see Canada in a different light. And so this could be a place that you want to partake in. On top of that, there's also arranged excursions though too. So Aurelia, whether it's a community group on campus, whether it's Katie herself with the international team, working to bring you to different excursions. I'm not going to speak for Katie and say she'll bring you to Blue Mountain, but who knows, you might end up at a ski hill one day or another.
Yeah, this year looks a little different, of course, but last year at this time, we did one day trip to Muskoka, and there was a fire and ice festival, so ice sculptures and ice skating and all that kind of stuff. And we did another trip to Blue Mountain Resort. And again, it's open to students, whether they're skiers or non-skiers and have other interests. It's up to the students to create their own adventure when they get there, but we've done some help in facilitating, organizing that transportation and making it more cost effective to help students have that experience.
Awesome. So this photo represents sort of the location of our campus, and then the next one we'll dive into is similar to where some of the popular locations are for shopping and whatnot. So I'll let Katie chat about that.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. It's funny when I look at this picture, it definitely looks a lot different now. So don't hesitate about all the open space that's around Lakehead in the bottom left corner of the screen. This picture was maybe taken I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago at least. But in that time, there has been a ton of development right around the university. So Lakehead's campus actually sits on the outskirts of Aurelia. So we're on the west side there, and you can see downtown towards the top of the screen. And in that time, this west end of Aurelia has really, really expanded. And it's expanded residentially with lots of housing where often students, if they want to live off campus, they will find housing close to campus in this area. But also economically. So just across the road from that yellow circle on the bottom left screen are things like there's a Costco, like a massive shopping center. There are tons of restaurants. There's lots of different locally owned businesses there. I know there was a question in the chat box there about part-time jobs. So please know that there are an abundance of off-campus job opportunities right around campus, particularly in some of those new restaurants and businesses that have opened up across the road from the university. So there's definitely no shortage. So you can see also pointing to the right there is Toronto, 90 minutes down the highway, down Highway 400. So you will be coming up that way when you come to us from Pearson Airport. But know that there's lots of public transportation. So it's not uncommon for students to jump on a bus in Aurelia and take that, maybe 2 hours down the highway to go into Toronto for a day on the weekend if they're looking for other forms of entertainment, like lots of the national sports teams will play there, like baseball and hockey and lacrosse, soccer. There's lots of entertainment. Obviously, Toronto is a massive city, so there's lots to do. Or maybe they're just, having a day to go out shopping or looking for something, a special item in particular. So that is pretty accessible to you and very cost effective too. Bus tickets at maybe about $20, $25. Okay, so looking at campus specifically, we do have lots of green space around us, but that's intentional with the design of the campus. It was designed to be environmentally friendly and really embrace outdoor spaces. So although across the road there's lots of development immediately around us, there are lots of fields and green spaces for you. So the cafeteria and the bookstore are all within one building. It's the smallest building, single story, and pretty self-explanatory, but that's where you're going to do your school supply shopping, get your textbooks, where you would get your ID card. And then the cafeteria, of course, where you're ordering and either enjoying your meals in the cafeteria or taking them away. And then on the left is the residence building. It's the largest one there. So one thing to note about the Aurelia residence is that all rooms are dormitory style. So there's no apartment style in Aurelia. And this means that as a student living in the Aurelia residence, you have your own room, like private room with a double bed, a desk and chair and small refrigerator, lots of storage space. You have a vanity and sink in your room, and then you share a full bathroom with one other person. So just one other person. There's no public washroom in there. So just something to note if you're thinking about living on campus. And then on the right side, the middle-sized building is the academic building, otherwise known as Simcoe Hall, where all of your courses are going to take place. That's where my office is, where you'll find all your faculty members, the student union. All of your kind of daily activities will take place within that building. Okay, so Aurelia, just kind of a bird's eye view there where Lakehead sits within proximity to key places that you'll want to get to. So I mentioned we're in the west side of town, and there is everything you would possibly need in that side of the city. So there's lots of different shopping centers. Some of the most popular stores that students will go to include Walmart, which is a full grocery store, a pharmacy, housewares, has everything. They also enjoy going to Best Buy for technology needs. The experts there have been great, particularly helping international students with, things like maybe power adapters or upgrading their technology, SIM cards. They have a mobile phone shop there, and that's always a really important one. And then there's also a couple grocery stores in this end too. And those grocery stores, like Patrick and Jordan were mentioning, those grocery stores always have multiple aisles for international foods. So don't be fearful of that. There's definitely lots of ways you can be shopping for foods that suit everyone's different needs and interests. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there.
Awesome. I'll add on to it, just saying that on top of the fact that these are amenities that we imagine and we know that our students will access on a regular basis. So going shopping, going to get your groceries, going to get your essential personal care items, all that sort of stuff. It's convenient that they're located so close, but it's also the fact that all these places offer jobs to our students, and we see many of our current students working at these locations. And so it's also nice to be able to take maybe a few minute bus ride or walk a little bit and be at your job, so that there's not a huge delay in transportation or anything along the lines of that. So that's one thing to note. So we'll answer questions specifically about Aurelia now, and then we will wrap it up for today.
Sure. I know one question in the chat box there, an interesting one, asking about the crime rate. And so in Aurelia specifically, I can tell you that Aurelia is actually the home of the Ontario Provincial Police Headquarters for all of Ontario. It is one of the biggest employers in the city. And we also have the Ontario Central Region headquarters right down the road from the university, as well as one of the most newest developments on University Avenue across from campus is the Aurelia Police Detachment that's recently been built. So I can tell you that most Canadian cities are fairly safe, but just speaking for Aurelia specifically, it's a very safe community. We try to advise students if they're living off campus. We try to advise you on what communities are most student friendly in terms of amenities and proximity to campus and things that you need. But also be assured that there's quite a lot of policing around, more than what you might anticipate or expect in many other Canadian cities.
For sure. And then also speaking to both of our campuses too, they both have full security teams that are there 24/7 to offer assistance and support to our students. So whether you've lost an item and you need to head over to the lost and found, security can handle that. Or if there's an emergency that warrants our security team versus our emergency services in Thunderbay, of course, similar to Aurelia, we have our police headquarters literally down the road, a couple minute drive only, and then our hospital is across the street. So being centrally located, we have access to those resources in quick terms or quick matters. But there's another question about driver's license, and I don't want to misspeak. So maybe I'll pose that question to Katie and Patrick. The question is, can I use my driver license of Vietnam to drive in Thunder Bay, or can I change it to a form of a Canadian license, or do I need to test again from the G1?
Katie, I'm not sure if you actually know the answer to this. I know the general answer to this, but I'm not 100% sure about Vietnam. Do you know about Vietnam specifically?
I don't know about Vietnam specifically.
Yeah, neither do I. So generally, the process is that when drivers come to Canada, once they get settled, and I think you do need your social insurance number, which we can help you get. You can go to Service Ontario, which is kind of our provincial government branch, and they have a system of evaluating licenses and equivalencies from around the world. Essentially, depending on how the Ontario government views the license in Vietnam, you'll be placed somewhere in what's called our graduated licensing test system, which may mean starting from a G1 and doing the road test to get to a G2, and then a final road test to get your full license, or potentially starting at the G2 level with doing one road test to get your final license. And in some cases, you can just go right to your final licensing. It's country specific, but our international student advisors here on our Thunder Bay campus can definitely help you connect with Service Ontario and start that process.
Awesome. So there is a question, I know it's not necessarily related to hometowns, but they do want to know more about part-time jobs. And so I'll chat a bit about our career services and sort of the supports that we have available on campus to help you secure those part-time jobs. And so with that being said, we do have something called the Student Success Center, or SSC for short. The Student Success Center helps students with our career zone on our Thunderbay campus or our career and co-op services on both campuses. And they help with resume workshops. They do job preparatory interviews. They do mock interviews with you. They also have an exclusive Lakehead University job bank, which is only accessible to Lakehead University students, where employers can promote their opportunities. And so there's plenty of opportunities within the campus as well as on-campus jobs. Our team in international hires several international students and current students also to work for us. But we're one department of many, so there's plenty of on-campus opportunities as well. So that does bring us to the end of today's session. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to remind you to follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Lakehead International on Facebook and Instagram. You can head over to our YouTube, Lakehead University, and learn more about our campuses and check out some of the videos we were mentioning, including that off-campus food tour, which I think you'll love. It's great, great fun. And I also encourage you to take a virtual campus tour now that you know a bit more about your future hometowns, hopefully. You might want to explore campuses a little more in depth, so explore residence, the cafeteria, academic labs, all that sort of stuff. You can find that at lakeheadu.ca/tours. You can complete the virtual tour at any time from the convenience of your own home. So please do not hesitate to take that. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Katie and Patrick, for joining me. I appreciate the time. With that being said, I hopefully will see everyone at the next session. Bye for now, folks.
Thank you for checking out today's video. If you have any questions, you can always comment below. Stay connected and follow us on our social media channels to stay informed about upcoming webinars and get an insider sneak peek of Lakehead University. See you next time.